So we have a somewhat novel way in which we're doing the Q&A, which is to say the director is not physically here because he is sort of on a, I don't know if one would call it a tour, but he's doing a circuit of promotion for the film because I'm sure as many of you know, this is the film that Canada's put for. You can't hear, now you can hear. Now. Yes, okay. All right, so the director will not be physically present tonight because when we set the screening for this date, he thought he would be, but then he realized when the film had been put forward as Canada's nominee for the Academy Award for Best International Feature, it meant that he had to start going around promoting it, so he couldn't be here, but he wanted to be here as best he could, which is to say he will be here virtually. So we have a rather novel situation where our moderator will be here in person. The director will be virtual, but the director will be able to take your questions. So it will be a Q&A, just not a conventional Q&A. It's like a hybrid Q&A, but in an odd way. Okay. So I'm going to quickly introduce the moderator and the director, and then Krishna will come up and we'll get things going. Okay, so Srinivas Krishna is an award-winning filmmaker whose work has premiered at Cannes and Sundance, earning global recognition for its bold storytelling and cinematic innovation. His immersive media installations, described as utterly breathtaking, have redefined how audiences experience narrative in space. A recognized leader in spatial computing, Krishna now leads Geogram, an AI vision platform transforming how physical environments are understood and operated across industries. Bridging art and technology continues to shape the future of narrative experience and intelligent spatial systems. And I'll just add that Krishna was, back a number of years ago, the screenwriter in residence at the Cinema Studies Institute. The director, Alireza Khatami, is an award-winning writer, director, and producer based in Canada. Born into the indigenous Kamsi tribe in southeast Iran, Alireza draws from the rich oral storytelling traditions of his heritage, crafting a unique style blending magic realism with sharp social commentary. Known for his bold cinematic choices defying convention, his films unravel the invisible architecture of power, tracing societal systems and psychological forces that shape human behavior and identity. Alireza's debut feature, Oblivion Versus, premiered at the Venice Film Festival in 2017 and garnered critical acclaim and won multiple awards, including the Orizzonti Award for Best Screenplay and the Presky Prize. His second feature, Terrestrial Versus, premiered in the Un Certain Regard competition at Cannes Film Festival to rave reviews and has been theatrically released in more than 15 countries. Alireza's boundary-pushing third feature, The Things You Kill, earned him the Best Director Award at the World Dramatic Competition of Sundance Film Festival 2025, and The Things You Kill has been submitted, I had said at the beginning, as Canada's choice for Best International Feature Film at the 98th Academy Awards. And so with that, I'll hand it over to Krishna, who will come to the podium and start our unique approach to the Q&A.
Thanks very much. Thank you. Just give us 1 minute, Alireza. Hey, okay. So now, Alireza, you can see me, right, on the Zoom call?
Yes.
Good. I can see
Yes.
you too.
You hear
and
me well?
Yeah, and the audience can, now we can all see each other. Okay. So congratulations on the film. It's fantastic. Now it's the second time I'm seeing it. And congratulations also on the push and the submission to the Academy Awards. It's wonderful. I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions and then we'll open it to the floor. As you know, this is the second time I'm seeing the film, and it's the first time I'm seeing it on a big screen. Before it was on a laptop monitor. And I just want to lead out by just saying, you know, you said to me that you are, in fact, an engineer by training, an agricultural engineer. You're also a professor. You teach at Ryerson University. The character in the film has a garden. He is a professor. You also told, you know, and he's also named Ali, and his doppelganger, or however you want to call him, is named Reza, Alireza. How much of this is, you know, comes from life? Like, what did you draw on when you came up with this project? Do you want to share that?
Yeah, of course. First of all, I apologize to the audience. I really, really, this is the only screening in the world I wanted to be in person. And I'm sorry we had to do this because now I have a responsibility to present the film. So I had to be in Los Angeles. I couldn't be there with you. And thank you so much for U of T for arranging all of this, making this hybrid, making it all possible. Thank you. I was originally set to adopt a book, and as I was writing it, I realized that um, my sisters start entering the story, and then my mother arrived to this story, my father arrived to this story, and suddenly I realized that I'm writing things I won't be able to share with anyone because I never shared that much of myself in a movie. My previous films are mostly work of, I would say, brain. And here it's a work of heart, or I would say I was basically spilling my guts. And it was quite a hard decision I had to make. The way I describe it is that before this point, I was writing, looking forward. It was me in front of white papers, and I had to kind of plow my way through it and find the story at the other side of the white papers. With this movie, I find myself writing, looking backward. It was something that had happened to me, and now I had to take from my personal narrative and experiment with them and put them in a cohesive piece that makes sense as a fictional film on the silver screen of cinema.
Yeah.
So I call it autofiction. Is it autobiography? Yes and no. Is it completely fiction? Yes and no. So it's the first time I did it, and I was very, very nervous, and I still don't show this to my family.
You said that to me before. You said in this work you were looking backward. Uh, I know that you originally wanted to shoot it in Iran, but you couldn't.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
ended up shooting it in Turkey, which is such an incredible, change, and one of the incredible changes that happens in the film and with the film. Do you want to just share that story of how it came together?
Because the story was very close to my heart, I wanted to take it to the place that I know the best, which was home. The censorship office did not agree with killing of the father. In Judo-Christian tradition, is always it's killing of the son, killing of the Ishmael. So Abraham takes Ishmael to sacrifice him, and then God sends one ship, and they exchange and the story. Here is the reverse. The son takes the father to kill him. God sends hundreds of ships, and still the son carries the act of killing, which the Iranian authorities did not agree with that. They thought the country is run by an old man, pretty much like America. I'm here right now, so, and they didn't like it. And I had to either let the film go, almost 6 years of work, or find another way to make it. And I didn't want to compromise. I wanted the story, the soul of the story, to be protected. I'm from an indigenous tribe that speaks a dialect of Turkish. That helped me understand 10-15% of the language spoken in Turkey. Also, Turkey was very hospitable to a stranger coming there with a story, right? And they have an amazing pool of actors.
They do.
So I took the story there, and we completely rewrite it. We adapt it to the cultural nuances of Turkey, to the history of Turkey, and to Turkish language, and we made the film there without the compromises.
At what point did you decide that Ali and Reza were going to flip? Because I don't believe you started that way, right?
No.
So
Nobody in their sane minds would. So since I know there are some film students probably there. Some of them are my students. Hello. Your assignments are due tomorrow. I'm kidding. But I share this because I know there are some film students there. I wrote the first draft, and during the table read, I felt miserable. It felt like it's a TV series. Everybody was bored to death, you know. And I said, if I cannot hold the attention of a group of people around the table, how can I hold the attention of strangers in the dark hall of a cinema? And I was looking for something to bring the movie alive. And one of the people who were in the group, 7 a.m., knocked on my door and said, shift the characters. I was like, he's an idiot. Yeah. By noon, I was like, maybe I'm the idiot. Yeah. And by the evening, I was excited. I knew that I have so much fight to do to convince people. And it completely divided the producers team, everybody was divided on it. And I kept saying, this is going to work. It's going to work. And then I went back and completely rewrite the script a couple of more times, and it came alive. But even when we were presenting for funds around the world, I had to put a note on that page that you read it correctly. This is a shift, because people would call me and say, there is a spelling mistake. You made a mistake at page 54, right? And all the way up to the shooting, people were constantly doubting that this is not going to work, Even after the film came out, right? Imagine, TIFF Film Festival rejected us. They show 150 films, and they didn't give us nothing. If a TIFF Film Festival, any of you are there in the audience, hello, it worked, right? It worked. So it was a very contentious choice. And I put all my career on that risk.
Yeah.
If this movie flipped, flop, I would never make another movie. That much I knew.
What makes
But
it,
hey, I
sorry.
love pushing cinema.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
What makes it really, really powerful is just how naturalistic the film is, right? It unfolds very naturally. So when it happens, you're really asked to accept it or not accept it or question it, and then you get kind of alienated or pushed away. And then it gives you a kind of double consciousness when you're watching the film around how to take it. And finally, I reconciled it by just saying it's the same person. It's two sides of the same person, right? And in that, I wanted to ask you about that shot, because I noticed it when I watched it on the big screen today, which I didn't notice when I watched it on the monitor, is when you introduce Reza, it's through that broken mirror.
Yeah.
So is the idea that the film from that moment on takes place in that side of the mirror? Basically, because you never cut from the mirror, you deceive us there. And then at the end, Ali, when he sees his reflection in the mirror, it's like we pull back and reveal back in the regular space. So was that, I know that was intended. So do you want to just talk about what you were thinking there?
The first part of your comments was rather an important comment you made, so I will speak about that first. Now, with all the streamers, we are used to very cheap drugs, dopamine, the notification system. That style of social media was brought to cinema and TV series by folks at Netflix and Amazon, etc., etc. So the goal and the demand from filmmaker is that constantly give you a little bit drug to stay. Right. So when the shift happens, we knew that the audience going to look and say, what happened? Now you're completely out of the film. I much prefer you leave. I don't want you to come back. If you want to come back, it has to be your decision. Now you have to fight to come back. I spent 8 years of my life on this, and I'm not getting it. Believe me, I would do Uber and I would make more money. This is not about money. This is about a gift. I'm bringing a gift to the table, right? Now you have to fight back your way into the film. And in that disorientation and decision to come back, there is a space that allows you to think. And that was an important decision for me. Yeah. I didn't want to give you a bit of cheap drugs for you to, oh, I'm like a junkie to stay. No, I treat audience as intelligent thinkers that want to engage with the film and participate to it. So that's the first part of your question. The mirror, I've seen Robert Zemeckis have a movie Contact, which there is called Impossible Mirror Shot. Beautiful, have nothing to do with the film. So I thought Robert Zemeckis has this beautiful technical shot, and he had no idea what to do with it. He put it in a movie, basically saying to the world, here is a gorgeous shot, but I don't know how to use it. You guys go figure it out. And when I was writing the script, I was like, I'll do it. So, because in Persian classic poetry, when you speak of self, mirror is a very well-established metaphor. It's like almost 700-800 years established metaphor for it. So it was, and this movie is about self-negotiation. So it was natural for me to right away go to the mirror when Reza appears. The entire second act happens in the mirror. And when the negotiation is over, now it's about to face the world, we come out of the mirror.
Right.
It was fun also.
Yes, it was a lot of fun.
Playing.
One final question before I open to the audience is, you have a very very distinct philosophy and approach to filmmaking around positioning the camera, just the master shot, and it unfolds in real time. It's a lot of attention on mise-en-scène. It's not a very manipulative or editorial or editorializing kind of cinema. It's like, for those who are film buffs, you'd think of this as a kind of Bergson type, approach to film, maybe from the 40s, from that period of Bergson. Do you want to talk about that, how you approach directing and, the whole structuring and your approach to that, and especially around actors? These actors were fantastic. And, how it was working with them, especially with this style of filmmaking where you don't have a lot of what we call coverage or shots, you're playing it out in real time. How did that go?
So, let me talk about the actors first. I don't work with non-actors. I don't know how to do it. I'm not a great director with actors. My only job is to bring people who understand the story and then give them the confidence that the camera sees your soul. You don't have to try, right? That's the only thing I do, and then I stay out of the way, which is very difficult. I'm an egomaniac, so it's very hard for me to stay out of the way. So my whole attempt is that, in all seriousness, it's very hard for directors to stay out of the way. So my focus is that I get out of the way, but I constantly make sure they know camera sees them. They don't have to try that hard. And that's why the performance of Ekin Koç and Erkan are very subtle. This is not a movie that you lean back and watch. You have to want to see. You have to lean forward, So in that sense, some people call it a stingy. Yes, it is a stingy, but hey, you picked this movie. You could go watch Mission Impossible, right? Come in, engage, right? Now, I don't know. I think it's what we call a style is an extension of who these directors are, right? For me, I love to watch movies that they don't tell me how to feel, right? That's why I don't use music. So far, none of my films have ever used music because I really, first of all, I'm ignorant, I'm uneducated about music. And also, I don't like to tell audience, Here is you have to be scared. Here you have to be happy. Here, the decision is theirs to think. And I love movies that you watch and you think, it's 6 out of 10. That's it. And then 2 months later, you're like, all right, 7. And a year later, somebody asks you, have you seen a good movie? It says, I don't know. Good, I don't know. It's maybe an 8, maybe a 7. You may not like it, but this is the movie, right? The movie that lingers, comes back, right? And I don't think a movie that you kind of manipulates with camera, with music, with cuts, and it becomes digestible, easily digestible. And I want the movie to linger and to stay and to come back.
Let me open the floor to questions from the audience. Does anyone have anything they would like to?
Thank you so much for this wonderful question and engaging me. Appreciate that.
It's a wonderful film.
It's always great to talk with filmmakers.
So I think there was a question there. So we'll get a mic to you. Right there onto your...
Excuse me.
Okay.
Hi, thank you so much for the... Which way should I look, that way or that?
Look
Okay. Thank you very much for the film. Hello.
If you stand, he should be able to see you.
Okay, here I will stand. Again, to thank you for the wonderful experience. I had a very simple question. I just showed my class at York University. I teach a class that happened to, we saw Taste of Cherry last week. And I was struck by the landscape clearly in this film, in that film. And in some ways, I really wonder about, how the choice of landscape clearly has, certain messages that we need to engage with. And for us who are, I lived in Turkey many years, and this is not the landscape I'm used to in Turkey. This is clearly a landscape that was very purposefully sort of used. So I just wonder whether you can reflect on that. I mean, how it is for us who are not familiar with this landscape, who are not comfortable with these open spaces, how we can, integrate it in our understanding.
Simple question, but an elegant one. I appreciate that. This is first I tell you a little joke. My first feature film came out, and somebody wrote an article saying, this is Abbas Kiarostami on acid, which I found it very, as a young man making a film and somebody mentions the name of a master like Kiarostami next to you, you're over the moon, I have always been a huge admirer of some of his works. Some of the films, I think, there are questions to be asked. But Taste of Cherry is absolutely a masterpiece, No, so I am under it. Definitely, I'm learning and borrowing and stealing from him, 100%. Now about the use of landscape. This is Central Anatolia. And in Central Anatolia, if you live in a little bit outside Ankara, this is quite a usual landscape. It's not, I'm really not exoticizing it. It does exist there. If you are, for example, in Niğde, this is the landscape around Niğde. In cinema, when we talk about self-reflection, or when the character wants to find, quote unquote, himself, we usually take them to a dark corner, to a confined place, to a quote unquote closet, right? I wanted to go the other way because when I am soul searching, I feel very alone, very lonely. So I thought it's appropriate if I take it to the vistas, to the landscapes that are magnificently large. So the characters are feeling lost, feeling small, and also there is nowhere to hide. He has to face himself. Also, I wanted the character to be out of the city, because in the city, the structure of the patriarchy is very visible. And the gaze of the old man are on the flag, on the money, on the, he's looking at us in the hospitals, offices, everywhere. So I wanted to get him out of that gaze so he can have a moment to reflect. That's why I went with the landscape, and the garden is quite outside the city.
Yes, over there.
I'm not sure if you can see me. Hi.
Hello.
That's an honor to talk to you in person, first of all, Mr. Yeah, and
Honest moment.
yeah, thank you for the movie that you made. It was such an amazing, exciting movie. I was personally excited with many scenes that I just watched. But now the question I want to talk about is not, I mean, obviously you just mentioned the patriarchy, the father figure, the Freudian complex, stuff like that. They're not what I want to ask. My question is, you started the movie and ended the movie with the same story. The story at the very beginning started, the woman is telling her dream, and she just tells the dream that she had. And the movie ended with the same dream, but this time in the dream was Reza. We could see Reza opens the door and the father comes in. And that's exactly the same dream she was explaining at the very beginning. So I have two questions now. It's like the question is that the father figure necessarily both men and women are struggling with? And the other question is, maybe it's just the father that he wants to get rid of. I mean, and he just see that. And why do they both let them in, let the father in? Does that mean that we have to deal with that? And okay, I had another question as well. I don't know if I can ask
We
that
have
as
to
well.
remember all the questions, so maybe we just start with
Oh
those.
yeah, okay, yeah, okay.
This
The
is a
second
loaded
okay.
question. So it's quite a big question. And let's also give chance to others to ask a question as well. So let me answer your question this way. The obvious answer is I don't know. As an artist, I also, when the movie is finished, I look at it exactly like everybody else, and sometimes I'm as lost, you know. What went through my head when I was writing it, that much I can explain. This is a movie about a man who have a simple narrative. Hey, I studied literature in America, I come back, I wash dishes, therefore I'm a feminist. You know, I have done my job. And he holds to that narrative. As soon as female narrative arrives, his narrative starts crumbling. Cracks appears in that narrative. Through the cracks, Reza comes and says, I will hold to your story. I'll keep your story at all costs. We have to kill, we'll kill. We have to bribe you. We'll do whatever necessary to hold to your story. And other female narrative keeps coming. And Ali has to let go of the narrative he has in order to build a more expansive narrative. A narrative that is inclusive of the other narratives. A narrative that is not simple. Simple narrative everywhere. Let's make America great again. Like, when was it great? Right? That's a simple way, simple story. That's masculinity in crisis. Masculinity in crisis, the definition for me is a simple story, right? That's why Ali's wife says, did your mom tell you bedside stories? He says, no, she actually liked puzzles. Life is way more complex, and Ali has to learn how to hold that mystery, that life in his hands, right? Now, why do they let the father in? I think for us to learn and move forward, we have to live with the ghost of the past. You know, Canada is one of the problems with Canada is that has been trying to kick the ghost out Look at the residential tragedies, residential school tragedies. You know, the ghost had to fight back to remind us we were not hospitable to the ghosts. You know, all those tragedies, the blood of those kids is in our hands. This university is built on a stolen land. You know, you and me have been showing a movie on a stolen land. And how now, after so much fight, we do a simple acknowledgement, hoping this is the hospitality to the history. So the only ethical choice is to open the door and let the ghost in, hoping we don't repeat the same mistakes. So the ethical position for me is open the door.
I think there's a question back there.
So mine's a much more mundane question. I haven't been back to Turkey in over 10 years, but I know from my relatives that under Erdogan, the presence of Ataturk, the omnipresence of Ataturk everywhere has been diminished more and more. And so I was very surprised to see the huge banners with Ataturk's face hanging in front of the university and behind the dean. Were those actual images, or were those ones that you chose? Like, what was your experience in modern Turkey, outside of Istanbul, outside of Ankara, with the images of Ataturk or not?
We did not add any images. They were all
Okay.
there. The flags are there. We didn't have the budget for such a flag, by the way. It was there. So I am aware of the dynamic that Erdogan brings to the Turkish policy. Here is the fight between two old men. You know, one is trying to put his own images in instead of Ataturk. Same thing. Ataturk, for those of you who do not speak Turkish, Ata means father and Turk means Turk. So the father of the nation, the father of Turks. So Erdogan is trying to be the new father of the Turks. You know, for us out of the circle of power, it's the same deal. The old man at the top, and us, men or women, reproducing that structure. You know, women, as you can see in the film as well, they are participating in the same structure. You know, but we are both, men and women are subjected to this patriarchy. My film focuses on this, the experience of a man, because we rarely speak of the men and how they are subjected to the patriarchal violence. I put the magnifier on a man, but all of us under patriarchy suffers.
We have time for one more question. In the back.
Hi, hello.
Hello.
So we already had a commentary or observation about the landscape. I just have noticing the background noise, like the dogs. Is there like any significance? Is there a deeper meaning to all the barking? Does it relate to the story? And if not, can you just like explain how it was working with dogs, or just like an observation about the background auditory noise of the film? If it has any like deeper meaning to the, does it connect to the story somehow? Or if not, just like...
To me, it is connected, but on the advice of working with dogs, avoid dogs and animals. They, oh, sorry, wrong sentence. Avoid dogs and children. They don't listen to a director. It's very difficult. We had a wonderful dog, super smart, very intelligent, well trained, but it's still, you know, they don't care about cinema as much much as I do. So the noise of the dog in the film plays a significant role. You know, Ali, to let go of its identity, had to go back to the very non-human form to the animal form, right? In order to build a new way of being. That the presence of animal give us a point of differentiation to question what is human. So the barking of the dog at the end, to me, is alarming, right? If it's a prophecy, and also it creates a mischievous platform for meaning to invite audience that what do you take out of it? And I thought that repetition was an interesting way of bringing it.
I think we're about up for time. I just want to ask you before we close. I know you're very busy promoting things you will kill. What can we expect from you next as this this now takes its course? This wonderful film and its story in the world.
When I was a kid in a small town, indigenous kid, there were not malls to go buy a trouser or a pair of shoes. You know, you had to. My dad would take me to a tailor once a year to get a tailor-made trouser. Years later, when I grew up and I went to bigger cities, I realized that tailor-made actually is fancy for folks in the city, right? It's quite special. Now that I'm a filmmaker, I realize that this shop makes tailor-made movies for peculiar folks like us who have a broken bone in them and they want to participate. They still are hungry to think. They still think cinema is a way of navigating the world. You know, what you can expect from me is that this crazy man will give its life to cinema and try its best to make another movie that is demanding and surprising. That much I can promise. And I hope I can keep that promise. And it's wonderful to I'm really sad to miss this screening because it's in Toronto. It's a new home for me. I've been in Canada for 6 years after decades of being a refugee around the world. So I consider it home, you know, with all complexities of calling this land a home that brings to me. I wanted to be there with you, and I appreciate you coming out and watching this little movie. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, sir. You've been wonderful.
Thank you, Alireza. It's been a wonderful evening, and we just look forward to more from you. Wish you all the best.